the Indigenous Environmental Mapping and Resilience Planning Project has been working over the summer with two of the federally recognized Native American tribes of Virginia, the Chickahominy and the Upper Mattaponi Indian Nation. Our work with these two tribes has been to establish environmental data baselines using specific guidelines given to us by the tribe's environmental offices.
Maintaining tribal sovereignty over their respective data and knowledge is key to our work. This video will focus primarily on Indigenous data sovereignty, the GIS map training, and work we've been conducting over the summer, and our time with the Upper Mattaponi Indian tribe.
Indigenous data are defined as any piece of information that impacts Indigenous people as a group or as individuals, Indigenous lives, Indigenous cultures, and Indigenous languages. For example, Indigenous data may include environmental data, such as geospatial or watershed information, data regarding Indigenous nations as a polity, and data about individuals, such as demographic or epidemiological data. Indigenous data are especially relevant regarding Indigenous sciences that leave further room for subjectivity and qualitative data, as well as the dissemination of Indigenous knowledge through oral histories. Sovereignty is broadly understood as rights of self-determination and self-governance without outside interference. In the context of sovereign Indigenous nations, Indigenous data sovereignty refers to Indigenous ownership and control of data, rather than being owned by an outside university or government. Indigenous data sovereignty is critically important to enabling Indigenous environmental stewardship, collective knowledge ownership, and non-extractive data collection. There are many methods through which Indigenous leaders and collaborating researchers have worked to ensure long-term Indigenous data sovereignty and governance of information about Indigenous lives. Our project this summer has worked to establish and maintain Indigenous data sovereignty by deferring to leadership for the Upper Mattaponi and Chickahominy tribes in regards to data that is confidential. This has involved flexibility with internal use and delivery of data in which control lies in the hands of tribal leadership. While our team has worked to collect data, tribal leaders are able to govern the data that is relevant to the lifeways of tribal citizens.
Using GIS can be difficult to use because GIS software has many capabilities and numerous ways to navigate the many menu options. GIS is important to learn because so much data today has a spatial component, and spatial problem solving can be used in nearly every field. GIS is an important tool for analyzing important issues facing the Earth today. For the GIS training with the Chickahominy tribal members, ArcGIS Pro was used. ArcGIS Pro is a GIS software that allows you to access, explore, visualize, create maps, and analyze data geospatially. The most enjoyable part of the GIS training is showing how maps can be used to explain spatial relationships.
My name is Lee Mitchell. I'm the Environmental and Cultural Protection Director with the Upper Mattaponi Indian Tribe, citizen Cherokee Nation. It is up to the tribe themselves to lead a project in a way where, again, their control and their use of their identity is up to them to describe, disseminate, research, look into. So while an individual tribal citizen can, of course, interact and create data, kind of the tribal sovereignty aspect is a whole new layer that's really important. Like I said, kind of every step of the way we are considering, are we putting information at risk? Are we ensuring that the information we want to be out there is out there? Are we sharing too much? How do we keep internal knowledge internal? So when looking at environmental restoration, I can say, this is a sacred site, or I can say there's a sacred relative or a species there that's important, but anymore, that's really up to the tribe to say what they want to say.
At the beginning of the summer, some of our members had the chance to attend Upper Mattaponi's yearly powwow, which had not been held since 2019. Here are some of the team members pictured with Upper Mattaponi Chief Frank Adams enjoying the powwow.
While we weren't able to conduct a wildlife survey in a similar vein to the one done on Chickahominy lands, we were able to meet with Lee Mitchell, Environmental and Cultural Protection Director of the Upper Mattaponi Indian Tribe, and Reggie Teppins, Tribal Administrator of the Upper Mattaponi. We were able to view some of the Upper Mattaponi lands, as well as the environmental risks in the area, such as a kitty litter factory and extensive sand and gravel operations. Some of our members worked on doing a preliminary data analysis using data from a tribal wellness survey conducted by the tribe in 2021. Data from the survey contains valuable insights into tribal members' observations regarding the increased intensity of storms and droughts in the region. Our team has also partnered with Upper Mattaponi on important mapping projects, including the documentation of recently reacquired tribal properties using ArcGIS and Google Maps. Some of the featured data that we've developed include images of landscape and watershed change over time, as well as changes in air quality from 1998 to 2020. We've worked with tribal members and administrators to integrate this information into an accessible and secure database that can inform tribal decision-making for years to come.
The work we've been doing this summer is a part of efforts to decolonize our work here at George Mason. What we're doing isn't about controlling research objectives, data, or access to data, but capacity building with Native tribes of Virginia to assist them in managing their own lands and cultures.
We hope you've gained an understanding on valuing Indigenous sovereignty and knowledge in academia and building and maintaining a reciprocal additive relationship with Native peoples across Turtle Island and the world.
The relationships we've been building with the tribes are just as important as the data we've been working on. We would love to expand our work to other tribes in the Chesapeake Bay area, and that this sets foundation for the future work between George Mason and the Native folk whose land we continue to occupy.